Hello and welcome to Connect, the weekly podcast of the California MBA featuring one-on-one interviews with movers and shakers in the mortgage industry. I'm Susan Milazzo, CEO of the California MBA, and I'm very happy that you could join us today. Before I welcome today's guest, I'd like to thank our 2025 President's Council sponsors. And these companies provide a tremendous amount of financial support to the California MBA, in large part so that we can continue to be that strong voice for the real estate finance industry before the California State Legislature and our regulators. So please join me in thanking this year's President's Council sponsors. And those companies are AmeriHome, Consolidated Analytics, Funding Shield, Guild Mortgage, Rocket Mortgage, Wiener Brodsky Kiter, and Western Alliance Bank. Thank you all so much for your support through your President's Council sponsorship. We really appreciate it. And with that, I am very happy to welcome my friend Kenon Chen, who is EVP of Strategy and Growth at Clear Capital. Kenon, welcome.
Well, thank you for having me, Susan. Appreciate it.
When we were just chatting or getting ready, I'm like, I can't believe I've been doing this for a few years and I haven't had you on Connect. So that's my error. I'm happy that we have corrected that by having you on. I always like to start with sort of the same question. I'm always interested to know how people got into the mortgage industry. So why don't you share with our listeners your story?
Well, I'm so glad I could finally be on the show, and um, the journey into mortgage was not on purpose. My background's in technology. I was working in the Bay Area during the dot-com boom, doing web development, and working at a couple different startups, and um, at 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 a startup working on um, gosh, we were converting, companies at the time to web-based applications, and I played a random golf game. Um, this is in my 20s, and I don't really remember playing golf that often, and so I think I was just messing around. But I met a guy who joined us. Gave him my business card, which is a miracle because I don't usually carry business cards even now. So. Um, and he was a friend of Dwayne Andrews, our now CEO and co-founder of Clear Capital, and gave him my my card, and I get a random call from Dwayne. Uh, and he had the idea for arianetwork.com, which is a site that connects real estate brokers who know how to handle bank-owned listings with asset managers and hedge funds and cap markets folks, and we were able to build that site, for Dwayne, and that put us all together, and then out of those relationships, birthed Clear Capital, which I've been a part of now for 23 years. Um, I, did a small stint before that, doing technology for WAMU, which was kind of my first introduction, but it was really, Clear Capital that let me um, let me understand that there's a career in, you know, technology products, solutions, within mortgage and housing finance that's like super rewarding, right? That's something where I don't feel the need to go and do something else because there's plenty of things to solve here and have a fun time doing it.
It just an always a cutting edge company I found Clear Capital to be. I recall when I was thinking about, getting ready for today's podcast, I believe Clear Capital has been an active member of the California MBA since your early days. I remember visiting Dwayne in your office in Truckee and being so impressed that you have such a beautiful place to work before the pandemic and everybody can work wherever they want. Um, it was more than 20 years ago for sure. What would you say have been the most surprising industry changes for the company in that time period? I mean, you've been there since pretty much the beginning too.
Well, I mean, that's the funny thing is that our industry tends to have a lot of opportunity to embrace modern technology to, move things along because, right, we're highly regulated. We move a little bit slower as an industry to adopt, the latest, greatest, tech. And when we first came in at Clear Capital, th there was not another valuation company that had fully embraced putting, all of the capabilities on a browser-based, web-based system that was super simple to use. At the time, we started out with broker price opinions um, being the product that we helped people easily upload spreadsheets and order big batches of valuations across a portfolio in an easy way. And I think our competitors at the time were still using fax machines to
Right?
send information back and forth and photos and all of that. You know, uh, I think that the surprising thing is that, we actually started out as really as a software as a service, sort of offering. And it's surprising that it's taken that long to have that be, first of all, the norm, but also that uh uh I'm surprised at how, you know, we have now evolved into jumping right to embracing AI and right to embracing, it's like we're going along this path and then we decided like let's just skip a few steps. Let's we haven't gotten to the 100% digital mortgage yet. We haven't gotten 100% e-close. You know what? Forget all that. Let's just grab AI where it's at and start embracing that and fully leaning into it. So I think it's super cool. It's just surprising and fun.
Yeah, I have always, like I say, I mean, in my perspective on the industry, I've always seen Clear Capital as kind of a, leading edge, especially when it comes to technology and not being afraid to kind of adopt new things and kind of lead the path for others. The company's mantra on your website says, wherever it leads, whatever it takes. What does that mean for your customers?
So that started really I think linked to where we were founded and what our culture was. As you said, we had offices up in Truckee. We really started. We all met. Dwayne and I and Kevin Marshall all met in the Bay Area, but it was really Truckee where the offices, you know, at the beginning were based, and and there's an incredible community of people up in the Lake Tahoe area that we found was easy to set up shop. Number one, there was a lot of um, uh, people with degrees, or college degrees that wanted to take a couple years and be a ski bum and hang out in the mountains, and then when they're ready to start a career, they wanted to stay there, and there wasn't a lot of technology opportunities there, and so we found that we had a lot of talented people that we could choose. And some of the attributes of people there is that they're it's a small town, they're neighborly, they will gladly pull you out of a snowdrift when you're stuck, during the winter, right?
Yeah.
It really is a neighborly vibe. People leave their doors unlocked and uh, you know hang out at each other's houses just to be neighborly. But at the same time, you've got this uh this group of people that don't mind jumping off mountains in a squirrel suit, that are rock climbers, that are
Yeah.
snowmobilers, that are right like this passion for adventure and risk and all of that. And so it created this interesting culture of we uh really want to help people out in a neighborly way and take care of people and be nice, but we're super aggressive about it, and that like nothing will stop us, and we're not afraid of anything to go and find that solution. And it involved things like early days we would, you know, get a valuation done in Alaska where we had to rent out a dog sled to get someone out to the property. Um, and 100% we were going to get it done. It doesn't matter whether it's renting a plane to get to an island or a dog sled or whatever. And that just embodied our spirit of like wherever it leads, whatever it takes. So that's where that came from.
I love that. That's so great. Yeah, and you have, I didn't really think about that, but I know that you and Dwayne have shared with me over the years kind of like your talent pool up there, but that does, you're like, you have a company full of adventure seekers, and helps create a really cool corporate culture there. Congratulations for that. We've talked a couple of times already about the fact that Clear Capital was an early adopter of technology in the mortgage space. Can you tell us how you're using AI in your products today?
Yeah, AI is certainly a really big part of what we do. Our mission is to build confidence in real estate decisions, to strengthen communities and improve lives. That's our mission statement. And because we believe that if we really nail, accurate, consistent, um, uh, analytics, data evaluations, that allows people um, to make great decisions, and then great decisions on loans, that gets people into homes, but also lets them stay there in a sustainable way because there is accuracy up front. Is what builds strength, builds strong communities over time, and so we found that AI was one of those things that allowed us to solve, difficult problems, right? To start tackling more complex problems. One of those examples is with our automated valuation model, where, um, you know, up until a few years ago, people were building individual statistical models for every area of the country to try to get, accuracy in all 50 states and the territories. And we found that AI allowed us to tackle that complex um, problem of how do you get something that works in every single location accurately, but also, ingest the nation's data to keep it refreshed, often enough to do those predictions. So we started using AI back in, 2017 to start driving that. Recently we've really been embracing computer vision and photo AI, deriving intelligence from imagery and photos and video. Um, that is exemplified in our Kubicasa um, product um, that we have, which is a mobile app that in 5 minutes you can generate a 5 minute scan automatically generates a floor plan, an accurate floor plan on a property. It also generates things like interactive AI tours for listing agents. Um, and then on the in the loan process and underwriting, we have an automated collateral analyzer called Aura that uses AI to read the appraisal, including all the photos, and ensure that there's accuracy there, and helps people understand where they need to dig in on human-based, underwriting versus using the tool. So, yeah, that's AI is a very central part of what we do, and I think what the future is, right, for ensuring consistency and accuracy in valuation for every single home in America.
Yeah, it's definitely that if a company's not using AI at this point, I think they're far behind. And again, Clear Capital was front of the pack with the adoption in 2017. That's pretty impressive. Kenan, as I mentioned, Clear Capital has been a strong member and supporter of the California MBA for many years, for which I'm very grateful to you and the company. Can you share with our listeners why you choose to support our organization?
Well, there's lots of reasons why. Being a California, company that where we started in California, it provided a really great way to participate within our state. First of all, to understand what's going on. I think the connection to, advocacy, and working with Sacramento, the connection to local partners and clients, getting them together in different ways to see what's going on in the industry and be a part of that. But I think you know the thing that I enjoy the most, and this starts with you, Susan, is you know it embraces that California spirit of innovation and technology, represented by, you know, the um, uh, by the different events that you do. You intentionally focus on innovation. You intentionally focus on making the mortgage industry better, I think, in a unique way from other MBAs. So participating in that has been certainly beneficial for us, um, and uh, and we're looking forward to continuing to be a part of it.
Excellent. Well, thank you. We greatly appreciate that. And thank you for being on Connect. This has been great.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks to all of you for joining us today. To access any of our past episodes, you can follow us on our YouTube channel. We're also available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. That's it for this week, and we'll see you next time on Connect.